guys, this is your host CJ Heineman. This is my friend Manny Cardenas. We go back to the Verge's days. Say hi, Manny.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm glad you can join me here at the back room of Cafe CJ and on a NORML Community. Usually, I'm out and about talking to strangers and getting their opinion about marijuana law, and so I thought I'd get Manny on camera and give him a chance to talk about the current laws in Texas. And he's one of those business types. He's got to dress up to go to work, and he's got to protect himself against the ignorant minds of some people, who don't believe that marijuana is has benefits to it. So we're talking about law reform because, of course, we're from Houston NORML, and that's what we're concerned about. So tell us what you feel about the laws.
I think the laws are backwards. We live in the 21st century. It's really, it boggles the mind, to be honest with you, when you put somebody in jail for 2 ounces of a flower. It costs me, as a taxpayer, healthcare, living, board, food, you name it. It's out of our pockets. So basically, we put them in jail to teach them a lesson, and we end up paying the cost. Isn't that insanity? Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a completely different result?
Did you just hear about Texas passing a law where you have to be tested for marijuana or drugs, period, in order to be qualified for welfare, just like they did in Florida?
So let's say I'm a regular reefer smoker. Well, that lasts in my body, 30 days? 2 weeks, just depending on how heavy of a user if I was to indulge. So let's say that I have not the best life in the world. I need to escape. Marijuana was my solution. Well, you know what? Cocaine only lasts 3 days. What would you do?
And where would you get that cocaine? Wouldn't you have to go to the criminal element?
Cartels, Mexican cartels. Really? You know why people are so anti-legalization? DEA makes so much money. What's their funding for the marijuana part of it? Would they lose out? Hell yeah. Cartels, would they lose out? Yeah, it's only a couple of $1 billion. Only a couple of $1 billion.
If drugs were legalized, do you think the drug cartels would lose out?
Yes.
I think being a drug cartel leader, okay, if I was a drug cartel leader who has to create these front businesses in order to launder my money, I would say to myself, wait a minute, it only costs $5,000 to get a permit, $50,000 to get a permit to grow, sell, whatever. Even if it costs me $5 million a year, I'm a drug guy. I've got that kind of money. Wouldn't I just legitimize my business if it was legal? I would say, oh yeah, well I already have a distribution way. I already have clientele. I just need it legitimized. Well, then they're paying into taxes for having that license, for having that ability to do what they've already been doing. So that, yes, the only people so far losing out is the DEA.
And I honestly think if you're an adult, you're responsible. It's okay for me to go have 8 beers and walk away. It's legal, as long as it's not over the limit. But I take a couple of hits, it's over. Over for what? The way I choose to relax, a flower versus a beer.
There's a stigma for both. I mean, you go out, you're supposed to drink responsible. That's fine. Well, why not can we go out to hookah lounge and smoke responsible? And that's kind of what NORML wants also is, adult safe access. Shouldn't we have it as legal as that?
I completely agree. I'm not saying that people should have the right of getting stoned and getting behind the wheel. I completely do not agree with that. I'm completely against that. Just like somebody behind the wheel with a beer, I completely don't agree with that. I think that it should be taken into account, enforced in the same way that drunk driving laws are. If you get caught drunk off your ass, you go to jail. There's no straight answer, just like drunk driving laws are not perfect. there's always going to be the both sides of the aisle, and I think there should be a compromise. But when it comes down to, if we can take out the violence, make some money off it, pay off some debts, and basically keep honest, hardworking people that want to not have a drink and want to take a couple of puffs to relax after work, I completely agree with that. This law has been in place for what, 80 years now? By greed. So by the time we see this, maybe in 10 years, maybe China.
Well, there's already states that have evidence that their crime is lower, their teenage substance abuse is lower.
That's crazy. That's for those progressive facts.
All right, so we had to take a break to get our car keys because this place is closing up.
Fancy, no.
Unlike the back room, a CJ Cafe, which is 24/7, but.
And just a couple of words I wanted to leave y'all with. In 30 years, we're gonna look back on this and think of us being backwards. Like, you know, 30 years ago, it was illegal for a black woman and a white man to be together. My God, what would happen? Nowadays, we're debating, should two dudes get married? If you're dumb enough to get married, do it. There's a lot of people that don't realize that other people just like them, progressive, people moving ahead of our time, you would say in Texas, but in the times in some more progressive states, it's sad.
Yeah.
And the bottom line, why tip your toe through the line if you get to arrive to death safely? Do what you want to do, as long as it doesn't hurt other people.
All right, and the number one thing that somebody can do in order to help change laws.
Call your congressman, email him, bug him.
And,
he works for you. The government should fear the people, not the other way around.
What would you say to our representatives here in Houston?
Listen to the people. You were elected by the people. You have the people's interests in mind. Most of the people in jails for marijuana, for most things, are Latinos like myself, Grandma Brown, and blacks. That's what it comes down to. It's a numbers thing.
Have you heard of Michelle Alexander?
No, it doesn't sound familiar.
She wrote a book called The New Jim Crow, Incarceration in the Age of Colorblindness. And she talks about how the government does target 30 and under minorities, specifically to make sure that they don't have voting rights. They find it hard to find student loans, property loans, home loans, getting a job because of, our laws here, 4 ounces is a felony.
We're moving forward. 30 years from now, we're going to look at this and think of it as a stupid-ass debate. We're focusing on this when there's real things we were really worried about. Education, invested in people, invested in the future.
Yep.
And who's paying for this?
All right, so this is another episode of A NORML Community. We are here with Manny Cardenas. Love you guys. Thank you for joining us at the back room of Cafe CJ, and we are getting kicked out, so gonna close this session off. Y'all have a good night.
Bye, y'all.